Shalom, shalom, everybody. It is Thursday, July the 30th, 2020. It is the 9th day of the 5th Hebrew month, the 9th of Av. This is my second video of the day that I'm putting on my backup channel. So if you've missed my first video of the day, it is on my main YouTube channel. That's the very first link below the video. You can go there and subscribe and check out my first video today on my main YouTube channel. My name's Daniel Lee. I live here in beautiful Juneau, Alaska, and my mission statement is very clear. I preach and teach the Hebrew Jewish roots of the Christian faith on my website, spiritandtorah.com. I exalt Yahshua, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. He is the only way, truth, and the life. I expose satanic pedophiles to investigative reporting on my YouTube channel. Been doing this now for almost 2 years. I provide satanic ritual abuse survivors a platform to speak out on. I protect the innocent children by virtue of these other things, and I lead a nightly Zoom room prayer meeting every single night. We pray for President Trump, this nation, other subscribers, each other, and we'll be happy to pray for you as well. Okay, so the first thing I want to get into, last fall I exposed Pat Robertson on the 700 Club as being a Satanist because he would flash that devil horn sign. And I got a fair amount of backlash from that. A lot of people were upset that I suggested that Pat Robertson was a Satanist. But then it was only a few days later that Pat Robertson on the 700 Club began to bash President Trump for withdrawing troops from Syria. And I thought, see, look at this. Pat Robertson's supposed to be this conservative supporting President Trump, and yet here he is bashing him for taking troops away from Syria. Isn't that interesting? Well, I got this email from a subscriber. She does not want me to reveal her name, but she said this. Hi, Daniel. There's been something weighing heavily on my heart. I helped red pill my parents. As a result, I watch your videos every day. My mother is a God-fearing woman. She loves Yah with her whole heart, soul, and mind. But she has been watching the 700 Club since I was a child. I've been trying to figure out a way to tell her that Pat Robertson is a Satanist. She is red-pilled about Billy Graham. I remember the videos several months ago that you discussed the I love Satan hand signal, and Pat Robertson was one of those people flashing the sign. When my mother watches the 700 Club, I listen to part of it from afar. Lately, the show has been really amping up false information. Today's episode, Pat Robertson said that Donald Trump needs to stop talking about hydroxychloroquine and cures. He said it wasn't his job to do that. He said that Trump's job was to protect us from Antifa. While he said that, I felt a chill down my spine. I know the 700 Club has many followers, maybe some who watch your videos. As a dedicated subscriber, I'm asking you if you have time to address this matter in one of your videos. Please don't use my name, because I think it would discourage my mom from finding the truth that the 700 Club is not what she thinks it is. You can reference my concern, though. Thank you, Daniel, for all the important work you do. So I just think this is very, very interesting that Pat Robertson is now telling his viewers, again, he's supposed to be this conservative supporter of Trump, and he's saying, oh, President Trump shouldn't say anything about hydroxychloroquine. Why would that be? Why would Pat Robertson be in agreement with the corrupt and evil Dr. Fauci? Very, very, very interesting. So I definitely wanted to highlight that. Now, this next story, this was published today, July 30th. Dark web abuse case. I've talked about the dark web quite a bit, how it's basically 80% of the satanic pedophiles operate on the dark web. But it says a New Zealand man has pled guilty to trying to buy a child for $15,000. A New Zealand man calling himself Kiwi Pedo on the dark web has admitted trying to buy a child for $15,000 for sexual abuse and possessing 417 objectionable images just as his trial was nearing a close. After a week of witness testimony, the man, who has name suppression, so they're not revealing his identity, pleaded guilty to 2 charges before Judge Alan Roberts in the Auckland District Court. He admitted that between January 13th of 2015 and February 20th of 2015, he had attempted to enter into a deal involving a person under 18 for sexual exploitation. He also accepted that in early 2015, he was in possession of 417 child pornography images. This week, Crown witnesses had told the court the dark web is an encrypted area of the internet, only reachable with special software and inside knowledge of where to go. Within that area, people can buy drugs, guns, and explosives, but it is also popular with individuals wanting to trade in child exploitation material, one New Zealand police officer said. It's the worst of humanity that you see. That officer, while working covertly in Australia, had messaged his username Kiwi Pedo, who had later suggested that they should kidnap one and use a basement like Fritz. This was understood to be a reference to the Austrian pedophile Joseph Fritzl, who imprisoned his own daughter in a basement and repeatedly raped her, the court heard. That officer told the court he passed the username on to other covert investigators working in the DIA who private messaged Kiwi Pedo. One investigator told the court in his conversation it was relayed Kiwi Pedo lived in New Zealand and was willing to pay in cash up to $15,000 or in Bitcoin for a child under 7 years old. So this article goes on and on, but praise Yah that they captured this guy and that he is, hopefully I would love if he would get executed, but hopefully at least he'll get thrown in prison for a long time. And again, we need to be praying for this child. And who knows if it was just this child. It may have been many children, but in particular this child that was sexually abused. Now, so YouTube has been just taking down all the videos in regards to these doctors that were gathered in front of the Supreme Court building. So I want to go ahead and provide a link. This is called America's Frontline Doctors SCOTUS Press Conference Transcript. So, and I know the video is on some other places, but again, it's very hard to find. So I'm going to provide this link for all of you guys. This actually has the entire transcript in writing of these doctors who stood boldly in front of the Supreme Court building to combat all the deep state nonsense about COVID-19. And you guys can just access that, and you'll at least have all that information at your fingertips that you can share with friends and family. Also, remember this Yale epidemiologist that I had quoted, who basically said that, hey, hydroxychloroquine is good, it's useful. Well, he's gone on the attack. This is pretty awesome. This was published by Just the News. When was this published? Today. It says, Yale epidemiologist Dr. Fauci running misinformation campaign against hydroxychloroquine. So he's fighting back. He says Rich, however, is sharply criticizing Fauci's approach to evaluating the drug's effectiveness, arguing that repeated trials and tests have shown that it is markedly effective at treating COVID-19 so long as it is administered properly. Rich, a professor of epidemiology and the director of Yale's Molecular Cancer Epidemiology Laboratory, has been pushing for the drug's use in the fight against the coronavirus for months. Last week, in a Newsweek op-ed, he called HCQ the key to defeating COVID-19, claiming its use, particularly when administered with one of two antibiotics and the nutritional supplement zinc, has been shown to be highly effective in treating high-risk coronavirus patients. On Tuesday, Risch went further, charging in an interview with Just the News that Fauci is perpetuating a misinformation campaign in his opposition to the drug. Fauci has been maintaining a studious position that only randomized controlled trial evidence has any value, Risch said, and everything else he calls anecdotal. Randomized controlled trials have been referred to as the gold standard of clinical research experiments. Fauci last month lamented the paucity of such trials regarding COVID-19 cures. But Risch said numerous other types of studies have significant practical value in determining effective courses of medical treatment. So, and by the way, Fauci decided not to respond to these comments that Risch made. So praise Yah that this Yale epidemiologist is on the attack and is fully engaged in this information war. We definitely need more people like him. Finally, I want to read this from a subscriber. This is, she sent, I'm not going to reveal her identity, but she sent this to me from John Rappaport, and it's entitled, Why They Are So Against HCQ. It says, if many people are convinced or become convinced that HCQ is a drug of choice, and if they believe it is helping them, then a major rebellion against pharma and the FDA and its counterparts around the world takes off. It soars, and it spurs the use of other alternatives on which pharma makes zero profits. Natural health and alternative medicine have been booming since the 1980s. A new escalation would send very serious shockwaves through the pharmaceutical industry. Fauci is well aware of this. He is fronting for the industry in every possible way. Trump, with his statements favoring HCQ, has become a major threat in that regard. When you see new reports of soaring COVID case numbers, a con, which I've documented 6 ways from Sunday, you're not only witnessing a planned strategy to maintain the war against the economy, and therefore against billions of people whose lives are at stake, you're also watching a justification for pushing antivirals and vaccines for the benefit of pharma. The last thing the pharmaceutical industry wants to see in their own case number con, giving birth to wildcat outbreaks of health freedom. People leaving the nest. People going elsewhere for treatment. So I thought this was a really, really good point. It's not just about pushing this mail-in voting and hurting President Trump. Of course, a lot of it's about that, but it's also about they don't want to hurt the pharmaceutical industry. They don't want to hurt the big pharma. And of course, we want big pharma to go away. Switching topics, President Trump tweeted this out earlier today. He said, Kate Brown, governor of Oregon, is not doing her job. She must clear out and in some cases arrest the anarchists and agitators in Portland. If she can't do it, the federal government will do it for her. We will not be leaving until there's safety. And he's responding because there was this headline yesterday that said Oregon was claiming that basically the feds were going to pull out and that Oregon had somehow claimed this victory that President Trump was caving. President Trump making it very clear, no, we are not leaving until the facilities like the federal courthouse and other federal buildings that have come under constant attack by these anarchists are secured safely. And then also, yesterday I'd reported on this story from Red State about basically how these riots, like in Portland, are backfiring against the Democrat Party, and that story had been scrubbed. Well, I now have screenshots of the actual tweets. I'm going to show this here so you guys can look at this. You can just freeze the screen and then you'll have these screenshots for these tweets. Again, this whole story was scrubbed, and maybe these tweets were scrubbed as well, but we got screenshots now. So you can freeze the screen. But I want to just read this. This is a quote. My non-political friends who don't like Trump told me today they will be voting for Trump. The rioting and racism shown by the left is too much. So this is from Joe Scarborough. Again, he's a major leftist. He says, how does breaking windows at a courthouse, setting fire to a federal building, firing guns in crowds, and committing acts of vandalism forward any cause? Actually, don't bother, because there is no good answer. It is self-destructive to any cause you promote. And then Lanny Davis said, violent protesters lighting fires and using violence in Portland should wear Donald Trump buttons. That is who they are helping. Progressives in Portland need to call them out, including the mayor. Retweet, please. Don't allow violent people help. And then another one, Alex Brenson said, it's not just a few cities. Homicides are up 10 to 50% year over year in practically every big city. Denver, Phoenix, Los Angeles, Boston, Houston, St. Louis, Miami, everywhere. Forget the crack epidemic. Murder rates haven't gone this bad, this fast since the late 1960s. So again, it just shows a plethora of leftists, of liberals, saying this is making our party look horrible, to the point where they're saying, guys, you're going to get Donald Trump reelected if you continue with these riots and our anarchists. So just wanted to provide that information for everyone as well. Update on Michael Flynn. I wish I had good news, but I don't. The appeals court has now granted Judge Sullivan's request for rehearing in the Flynn mandamus case and vacates order dismissing charges. So basically, you remember what happened, that basically Sullivan wanted an en banc hearing, which means that he wants all of the many judges that are on the D.C. Circuit Court to rehear this case, rather than it being dismissed like the 3-judge panel had decided 2-1 several weeks ago. And it looks like Sullivan got his wish. So now we're going to another court case with an en banc hearing with now all these judges that are going to rehear this, and Flynn's charges have still not been dropped. So again, we need to be really, really, really praying for General Flynn, because this is just absolutely insane how this is continuing to drag on. Now, I'm going to end the video with this. President Trump tweeted this out earlier today, and this is sure to make liberal heads, Democrat heads explode across the nation. He said, with universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is good, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote. Question mark, question mark, question mark. So he's now saying that we should delay the election until everyone can vote in person. Wow. Wow. So I'll just leave it at that. All right, if you guys like what I'm doing, if you appreciate what I'm doing, if you think I'm working hard and I deserve to be paid, this is my full-time career, which I love. I love doing what I do. So if you want to help me out, the easiest way to do so is through my PayPal. That is a link right below this video. That's the easiest way to send me a donation. I also have a Patreon. That's a link below the video as well. The way that works is you click on it, you can pledge any monthly amount you'd like, and then that amount is taken out of your bank account at the beginning of each month. If you're old school and you don't want to use the internet to send a donation, that's fine. I also have a P.O. box that's located below the video as well, and you can send me a donation through good old-fashioned snail mail. Just remember, if you want a response to your snail mail donation, please enclose your email address in that donation. If you have a prayer request and you want our prayer team to pray for you, we will be happy to do so. Just make sure you email me. My email is in the description box below the video, but you do have to unfold the description box, scroll down through the links, and you will eventually find my email. Email me your prayer request. I'll get it to our prayer team, and we will pray for you. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Beautiful day here in Juneau. We're actually having our warmest day of the year. It's supposed to get up to 78 degrees today. So we're having our 2-day hot summer weather. All right, shalom, guys. God bless.